your story. You're watching WCBI Sunrise.
All right, everyone, welcome back. So for this week's segment of What You Need to Know Wednesdays, Nick Harson is joining me in studio. And guys, we are building something, right? We're
yes,
making
we are
something.
going to put something together in studio. We're going to build a scale model. But
okay.
Before we build the scale model, let's talk a little bit about what we're building and the problem that we're solving.
Okay.
So in a lot of houses, when the sewer line goes out into the ground, it's got a, you need to be able to get access to it. And instead of doing like I did in this image and digging a big old hole, you can put in what's called a clean out. And basically what that does is it gives you access to the pipe so that if something gets clogged, if it needs to be worked on, you need to run a camera through it and see if there's something in there. You don't have to spend all afternoon digging it up like I did.
Hole, okay. So yeah. Would this be something like typically that would stick out of the ground then?
Yes, so it's the cap is basically just going to barely stick up above the ground.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and build it, and then we can talk a little bit more about it.
Okay.
So first things first, you've got your sweep. Now, sometimes you can have a double sweep. This one is a single sweep. So basically, if you were to run a line through it, it would go in, and the way this bends, it would send your line back up through the pipe, so you can knock things loose, use a camera, something like that. And whenever you're connecting stuff to PVC, what it usually does for these drain-off fittings is it just slips in like that.
Okay.
So it just kind of couples together. And typically you would use some plumber's glue and you would glue it together, but today we're not going to do that. So
we got the glue here for you.
We've got the glue here, but we're not going to glue it today.
Now, I've got a question, Nick, about the glue. So it can be pretty strong smelling, correct?
Yes, it is very strong smelling.
Okay.
It's a really powerful glue, so you want to make sure that you don't want to smell too much of that. It smells a lot like a Sharpie, so you want to be careful with that.
So when we're using this glue, would you typically recommend that like this piece that we put right here, would you recommend that we put the glue like around that first or on both parts?
Actually, you would want to do both. So it has a little brush already installed into the glue can, and what you would do is you would run it around the edge, and then you would run it around the edge, and then
just put it there.
Just slide it in.
And I guess how quickly does that dry?
Typically, it doesn't take too terribly long, but typically you want to give it a few minutes, maybe an hour, just to make 100% sure that it is hardened up, that you've got a good seal there.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've added both of our sides, and then what is this called again? The seal?
So, well, it's like a coupling.
Okay.
So yes, and this is the sweep.
The sweep. Okay.
Yeah. So where it sweeps
Y'all, I'm learning something today.
Out. So then you're going to stick this one on top. Now, typically this would be longer, but I ended up cutting it too short.
That's okay.
But so that this part right here can poke out of the ground.
Gotcha, okay.
And then you want to have a little cap on it because you don't want rain, water, dirt, anything like that getting into it. So going to screw that on there. And now we have our clean out.
Awesome.
But how do we connect it to our pipe? Like, for example, when I worked on mine, it was clay pipe. Well, you can't just couple together clay pipe and PVC.
Okay.
So that's why we get what's called a Fernco.
Okay.
So this is basically just a rubber boot, and you can slide it on each end of your pipe. And these hose clamps on either side, you can screw them on using this itty bitty screwdriver.
Look how cute,
or
guys.
you can use a bigger screwdriver, but I like the little one. I thought it was funny.
Okay.
And what you do is basically you just tighten this hose clamp. So as you turn it, it will tighten up around this piece of pipe.
Okay.
And then you tighten it up on the other side, and it creates a watertight seal to keep it from leaking.
Gotcha. And Nick, I have a question. So like you just said, you may have clay pipes.
Yes.
Does your PVC pipe need to be the same, I guess, size as like your clay pipe? And how do you figure that out first if you don't know?
So a good thing to do is just to research it. Like a lot of times, typically you're going to be dealing with either 4-inch pipe or 3-inch pipe. This is a little bitty 2-inch pipe just because I wanted to have a scale model, something easy to bring in the store so we're not like clobbering with these big pieces. So yeah, but a lot of times it's going to be 4-inch, and like with the clay pipe, I actually bought the wrong boots at first because I didn't realize that clay pipe is a different size than PVC pipe. So you always want to research, is 4-inch clay pipe's outer diameter the same as PVC's 4-inch outer diameter.
And then quickly, I can't remember if you had mentioned this, but I know you're doing a whole bunch of home renovation. So what kind of led you to this point in your home renovation process?
So actually, there was no clean out.
Okay.
And instead, there was just a massive hole in my pipe. and
Really?
like it was covered by a couple pieces of flashing, and that's not up to code.
Okay.
So I was like, you know, if there's ever any problems, I can't get to it. So I was like, well, instead I'm going to put this clean out here, mend these two pieces of clay pipe together, so that fixes that problem. And if I ever have any problems in the future, I can get to it and work on it.
Yeah, well, Nick, thank you so much for coming in studio and bringing this. Again, if y'all ever have any questions, go see Nick at Benton's Military Hardware. Guys, we're wrapping things up when we come back.